I think the sheer amount of hatred that maybe all of us have had at some point to him can be a good answer to why.
I never have. I love when, I'm a fan of when people have put the work in and they get the results. I'm not hating on them.
I get your point. Fourth quarter against the Chiefs. Brady's got the ball. Touchdown wins him the game.
He's an a-hole.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, guys, we have been debating for weeks, but this is probably one of the toughest debates that we will ever have. The greatest ever quarterback to play in NFL history. Names. Go on, Sam over there. Yes.
There's only one name for this. Stats don't lie.
Don't say Patrick Mahomes now, because I know what you're like.
I'm not. Stats don't lie. Tom Brady, 6 Super Bowls. People will knock his mobility, his arm strength. People even say, could he done it with Bill Belichick? We'll find out this season. But for me, 6-time Super Bowl champion. End of discussion.
John O'Shea has got 2 Champions League medals.
John O'Shea.
Yeah, so
wait. So we're just putting Tom Brady and John O'Shea.
Reason I say that, Steffan. Listen. Reason I say that.
I hope you go in some of here, Steve.
Is it because? Now we know he was predominant in winning those rings, but does the rings mean that you're the best?
In NFL, yes.
Well, Sam thinks it does.
Okay. Aaron Rodgers has only got 1. And I feel like a player of his ability, 20 years time when we're talking and we're mentioning quarterbacks, then you're saying, well, this guy's got 1, this guy's got 6. You're going to think, hang on, well, the one with 6 must be better, but that's not necessarily...
Oh.
There's lots of factors though, isn't there, Steffan? What names have you got?
Well, I'm actually I think Sam's got the right answer. However, there are lots of people we should be putting into this mix. And I see where you're coming from with Aaron Rodgers, right? He's super fun to watch, but he's not in the greatest quarterback of all time conversation. You need to be looking at people like, Joe Montana, totally fundamentally changed the game in the 80s. So for me, it's those players that are sort of defining of the sport. And Joe Montana, you can't be that successful, go to that many Super Bowls, sell that many jerseys. I mean, he was throwing the ball to Jerry Rice, which kind of helps.
Yes,
right?
It does help.
Best of all time.
Okay, best of all time. Those two together, wouldn't it have been great to see them, in the flesh playing? It would have been amazing.
A lot of young, or not even young, a lot of quarterbacks now also mentioned Montana as well as the one that they looked at.
People like Dan Marino, we've not really mentioned.
He didn't do it though. We never won his
This is it. And this is where I was going with it.
Go on then. Who else?
It's Tom Brady for me, to be honest with you.
I literally thought you were about to say Baker Mayfield.
No. Sam, it's Tom Brady. It is Tom Brady.
So when I was looking, Peyton Manning, a player who was excellent at reading plays, he was audible at the line of scrimmage, unbelievable. How he didn't go into coaching, I don't know.
He also changed the game like Joe and Tom.
And when they thought he was done, he went over to Broncos and...
he won one there, and it's a case of but when you look at him, I mean, I'd probably call him the best regular season quarterback ever. 15 times he got into the playoffs, and he should be putting up numbers like he should have 3 or 4 rings.
Yeah.
The amount of times he got to the playoffs, and
if you could have switched the brothers around, if you could have had Peyton in the regular season, but then Peyton turned into Eli in the playoffs, because Eli was fantastic in the playoffs and went on to win Super Bowls, but his brother just sort of...
They were identical twins.
Yeah, he could have swapped them out.
He was probably renowned, like you say, changing the game for actually being on the field, reading the play, and making the players around him look good and making him look effortless, because his reading of the play was just so superior.
And you see how many quarterbacks change and how they design playbooks now around quarterbacks being able to change the call of the line of scrimmage. That's all because of Peyton Manning. But for me, I think his lack of... This is harsh, but his lack of dynamism, if you will.
Bottling it.
Was that coming from an era where he didn't necessarily need it?
Yeah, that's true.
He was
very
around
true.
the same sort of time. Well, Vic was playing the same sort of time, similar time. Don McNabb was coming to the end of his career that sort of time. So there were other dynamic players out there. He was just a very traditional player. I mean, heck of a player, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he's not quite up to the standard for me that Tom Brady, and for me, Montana is pushing Brady the closest.
Yeah. Who's yours, Will?
I would have to go Tom Brady, I think, just because that's what I've grown up in, and I think the sheer amount of hatred that maybe all of us have had at some point to him can be a good answer to why.
I never have. I love when, I'm a fan of when people have put the work in and they get the results. I'm not hating on them.
You've never called him a bad name?
No, because I've never hated on Mayweather either. People used to want Mayweather to lose. How can you want someone that's trained that hard, that showed you the pinnacle of sport, to lose? Surely we want them to win, have a 0 so other kids can want to emulate that.
I get your point. fourth quarter against the Chiefs. Brady's got the ball. Touchdown wins him the game.
He's an a-hole.
Yeah, exactly. That's my point. Well, he's stitched
done that,
all
he's done
our
that.
teams up
Yeah,
at some
man.
point,
And
which is something.
And he's saying that sat there with his team just winning the Super Bowl. Do you know, I mean, it's a very different year.
But the year before, Brady turned up. I went Arrowhead and he done his thing, mate. And yeah, I was walking away in the snow, calling him that name.
And that's the thing, and as well, I don't want it to be a Brady loving, but there's no, if it was down, even if it's the fourth quarter and teams have been up 20, nearly 30, and if you're on the offensive side, you're still scared of him, aren't you?
man.
He gets it done.
Brady's he's the greatest.
You know what's interesting is that we've argued about loads of stuff all season, and the one thing we can agree on is probably the most hotly debated topic in all of the NFL is who's the greatest quarterback of all time. But we're all saying Tom Brady.
Yeah, I'm saying that.
Right, guys, we've had a lot of time spent together, lots of debates, but we finally all agreed on something. So I've got to put a cat amongst the pigeons. Who is the second greatest quarterback of all time?
Oh, Joe, that's easy for me because I've already staken the claim. It's got to be Joe Montana.
Sam, you agreed?
Yeah, Joe Cool. Joe Cool for me.
Yeah, for me too.
I mean, we might as well pack up because I was
Third
going to
best
agree as
quarterback.
well.
Sam made the greatest point, and that is 4 and 4 over a 7-year period. Like, come on, man.
And that's what we've been talking about a lot, isn't it, Steffan? Legacy and doing it over those years.
Yeah, I think when you have that impact on the game and the 49ers are famous because of Joe Montana. I mean, the fact they had Steve Young come after him as well is something that not many teams get to do. Only the Packers really recently have had two amazing. Oh, there's a guy we haven't even talked about.
Brett Favre.
Yeah, man.
I mean, talk about a fun
Super Bowls,
quarterback
one win.
to watch.
Yeah, not bad, yeah.
He
What
was
a cool guy as well.
I love him. But he's got this bit of land, he gets on his tractor.
Yeah.
I love him, man.
What a player and what a competitor as well. Because he didn't have, not the prettiest quarterback to watch in terms of his, throwing motion.
He wasn't that bad looking, he's got a bit grey now.
He's a good player on it. And the end of the season, didn't he, on some ridiculous records, like most touchdowns.
Yeah.
Who did he move to after? He went
Went to the Vikings and the Jets. He played for a couple of different
But for the Vikings, he turned it on again, didn't he?
But I think, despite all these great quarterbacks, just, Joe Montana for that winning record, for making the 49ers one of the teams that is synonymous with the sport, I think it's got to be him as number 2.
Also, another key bit of information about Joe Montana. He was smart enough to move to the Chiefs.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
I mean,
What a guy.
on that bombshell, I think we need to end it there. We're agreeing we've spent too much time together, so get involved in the comments. Who for you is the greatest quarterback of all time? Let us know in the comments and make sure you subscribe.